Yep. I know. It's 6:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order if I could, please. Would you take roll, please, Megan?
Mueller, here. Schrader,
Here.
Henderman, here. Pohl,
Here.
Bowden,
Here.
Andrews.
Here. Thank you. Proof of giving public meeting notice, Aaron?
Yep, notices are posted at both schools, sent to the village of Dickeyville, Cuba City City Hall, members of the media, Tuesday, June 20th, 2023.
Thank you. Item 3 is the consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items A through E, which include the minutes, resignations, and the WIA membership that you want pulled for further discussion? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller. Yes. Schrader,
Yes.
Henderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Administrative reports. Stacy, a curriculum report, please.
Hi, how are you guys today?
Good.
How are
you? How are you?
You have to put up with my annoying optimism and excitement.
Never
Are you fired up in this?
contagious.
Oh,
It's gonna be
Yes.
the best part of your day.
I've never heard it described as annoying.
Oh, you just wait, Gary.
Oh.
When Aaron tells me my 10 minutes is up.
Oh! He started the clock.
Do you guys need any of these? You guys want any of these? Well, it's the recording. All right, here we go. I don't have a PowerPoint, so we're gonna go based right off of this pamphlet. So this is our 2022-2023 annual curriculum report. It is finally here. This was developed by the curriculum PLC leaders and me, and we did this during the month of May and June. Okay, so if you turn to page 2, that's our lovely table of contents. Page 3, our team is based on state statute 118.0111. And that statute is reflected in Cuba City School District Policy number 2210. So we are properly following the statutes by having a policy. And if you notice, I'm not going to read the mission of the Cuba City School District mission to you because you guys all established that. If you notice the mission, and if you know the statute, and if you know the policy, they're all perfectly aligned. And that's what you want. So yay. Celebrate there. One of my favorite things is graduate profile. So those are the 6 characteristics that this team right here, that you're a part of, hopes that their graduates have. So the graduate profile is acquire skills, critical thinker, communicator, transfer knowledge to the future, pursue passion, and responsible citizens. So all decisions that we make in all of our systems should be based on that profile, along with student safety. Going on to page 4. If you read, you have a mission, a vision, and a graduate profile. I also have a mission, a vision, my values, and my goal as your director of instruction. And my director, or my goal for this year, was to make sure that each PLC knows exactly what their students will learn or what they'll be able to do. And I can say that this is pretty overwhelming, but there's 171 different sets of power standards. We have a document with 171 sets of power standards, and there's only 8 that are of the 171 that are under development. And the reason why they're under development is because they're not quite to the stage where they have standards through the state, because all of our standards are aligned, and you'll see that on the next page, through the state standards, or they haven't gotten, they're part of the spec ed department, and we're working with the standards-based grading, and that step hasn't been, as part of our rollout plan, we haven't gotten to that step yet. So that's a 95% completion rate. So I'd say that's pretty good. So we should be proud of our staff, because that's one of the things that they worked on very hard over the last 5 years. So principals have been a part of this. So that's something to celebrate. I'm excited about that. Okay, if we go on to the page 5. This is a new academic standards. So here are the new academic standards that are being looked at by the state this year. So you can see essential elements, ELA, mathematics, and then nutrition education. And this will impact Melanie at the middle school, high school level, and Amy at the elementary school level, and the CTE department. So if you turn the page, I'll dive into those standards a little bit, but let's go back to the why. So why are we doing this? For student learning. I love this pictorial right at the top. That's what it's all about. And if you notice, my goal aligns perfectly with number 1. What is it that we want our students to know and be able to do? So now we can check that one off the list. As a curriculum team, we can all move to 2, 3, and 4. And depending on what your team's needs are and the needs of your students, you'll probably do those in like a matrix. And notice how that is linked to the statute, the mission, and the policy, and everything's aligned. So that's one of my jobs, to make sure everything is aligned, policy-wise, mission-wise, and make sure everybody's headed the right direction. So going back to the new standards, if you look at page 7, here are the specifics of the ELA, mathematics, and this is Deb's. She knows all about this. She'll be working with her people to make sure that what they're doing in their classrooms, because this is all has to do with spec ed. If you go on to the next page, page 8, that is on nutrition. There are 3 highlights. I want to call out there's 6 different strands. Before, we've never had strands with nutrition. So this will actually complement what we're already doing, because we have these strands already in place. Nutrition for energy and growth, food safety and food systems, nutrition literacy, food nutrition and culture, nutrition for practice and promotion of health and enhancement behaviors, and ID and classification of food. And I know even in chemistry, we do this. So there's a lot of crossing over, which is a great place where we can start as teams to have discussions on that. On page 9, changing the subject. These were our early release days. You can see how it's changed through the years. The elementary school had 10 early release days, 900 minutes. The middle school, high school had 9, 765 minutes. And you can see I have a list of all the different staff responsibilities during curriculum time, and the leads are responsible for that. And obviously, the leads and I lead that in connection with the principals. So good stuff, good stuff. Okay. The next few pages, very colorful. I'm not going to say too much about the next few pages, pages 11 through 20. Those are exactly what you learned about when the lead PLC leaders came in and talked to you. So I used to go through every single one of them. Since we just got done with their presentations, you guys know all about these, so I'm not going to go through that. Do you have any questions on that? They worked hard, and it's very exciting because not too often do you get to see the happy, exciting things that are happening in our classroom. You don't get to see the passion in our teaching that is coming through. I think it's really reflected in that piece, in those pages. So that's exciting. So next section, new resources. So what are we going to be doing next? Have a lot to say about page 22. So please turn to page 22. Page 22 is some new good stuff for you. And this is something that I want you to think about because this is going to be a major change and a change in a good way. And everybody's talking about it. So I kind of want to teach you a little bit about it because it's based on the resource at the pre-K5 ELA resources that they chose. It's called the 95% group. And you can see that the 95% group offers explicit and systematic literacy instruction backed by the science of reading. It provides an ecosystem combining instructional tools, resources, and the knowledge into one comprehensive system to master the fundamentals of reading. And this is so cool because I like science. And so I'm going to give you a little science session because it's the science of reading, which is so awesome. I sat down and I read these publications because I really wanted to see if science of reading was a fad or not for myself and make my own professional decision. Because there's a lot of people out there selling things that say, oh, we implement the science of reading, buy our product. Well, Mr. Krause, we didn't want to fall into that. We didn't want to get sucked into that pit. So you really have to understand what is the science of reading, looking at the data at the elementary, what are their needs, what do we want, what do we have, and how do we fill in the gaps. So here's how we did it. So the 95% group is a one source and it offers 3 tiers of support for reading interventions. And I specifically broke down the 3 tiers of support. I'm not going to say them out loud, but you can see them in front of me or in front of you on the page. What I am going to call your attention to is the first image on the page. And the first image on the page is what the science of reading is. And this is the best image that I've seen that describes what the science of reading is. So the science of reading has 3 parts. It has a decoding part, it has a language comprehension part. And you multiply those together and you get reading comprehension, which is what you want. And decoding has 3 parts in itself: the decoding, the phonetic awareness, and the sight word recognition. And then the language comprehension has 5 parts. It has vocabulary knowledge, the background knowledge, the language structures, the literacy knowledge, and the verbal reasoning. Now, that's important because what they did with this research is they actually connected those things, those individual things, to specific parts of your brain. So if I'm up, anybody that teaches reading really has a superpower. Because as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, ooh, every time I think about a word I don't understand, if I'm reading a really high-level text, I'm using my angular gyrus. And I think about where my angular gyrus is because I'm a science person and I like my anatomy and physiology. And these specifically list where this happens in the brain. This is scientific evidence. This isn't going away. And the cool thing about it, this program that your staff has chosen has all of these things embedded in it. So I think that's really cool. So I, once again, am excited. Turning the page. There's more good stuff. Another resource that isn't listed because there's no pretty dynamics. What you're going to see is this one, the ITL department, which is this room right here. They're going to be buying new things to change their room to make it more accessible. So it's like a center of curiosity and thinking. So your library specialists are going to be changing what their spaces look like. So they too are ordering resources, and their resources are going to come in the shape of what's the space going to look like. So that'll be exciting. There's no pretty pictures for that, but you'll be sitting in the room for it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Okay. So thank you for laughing. All right. Next, changing the subject again, training. Here's what the middle school, high school is hoping to train on. 3 things. They are going to continue their adventure with literacy, develop purposeful literacy practices, creating, enhancing, and what it means to be literacy to a meaningful learner. So like making it a little bit more individualized and differentiating literacy. Finding your passion in teaching, which I've really hooked on because I'm really passionate and I love, love, love teaching. Exploring equitable grading practices, which I am also excited about. And that's something that Mr. Stander and his people are going to be looking at next year. If you turn the page, Mr. Krause and his people are going to, we're going to continue to support them with the transition to standards-based grading. So I itemized what we've discussed as a team and what we're going to be doing next year. And if you needed a quick refresher on the difference between traditional and standards-based, because there's going to be a lot more communication with the public about that, parents, stakeholders, about what is standards-based grading, what is traditional, and it's a major mind shift. And it is very beneficial if all people are behind it and support it. So your educators may need your support in that. And if you have questions, don't be afraid to email me or Mr. Krause or any of the educators because they all understand as well. Okay, they're going to get training in their new resources for 95% and also some training on the implementation of the science of reading. Okay, then we have future plans, which is connected to our training. So you always want your training to be connected to your future plans. And they are. Things for you to think about. So this is something I just want you to roll around in your head. So this is like deep thoughts. How can you facilitate your teams to make data-driven decisions? Your principals are thinking about that. Staff is trying to do it. How could you help do that? So think about that. I don't have an answer. Also, like Fab Lab, you got the Fab Lab up and going. We need to manage it. How is that going to fit into our curriculum? How is that going to be reflected in our budgets? Where do the responsibilities lie? So we have a lot of conversations that need to be had about that. So that's something you want to roll around in your head. And another thing that I'm the guinea pig for is the dual credit for students. So a lot of schools around us are doing dual credit. And there's many different options. So UW-Platteville, I don't know much about that option. There's UW Whitewater, which if you do dual credit through them, they do all these awesome things for their teachers, and each school has a different system. And so what's going to happen is we're going to have like people try different systems, and then we're going to have to come together and agree what direction do we want to go with this. So I entered the UW Oshkosh system. And so now I'm an adjunct professor without my PhD for UW Oshkosh. And right now, instead of my kids taking AP chemistry, they're going to take chemistry 105 and 106, the same exact chemistry that they would take in college. And they're going to have 10 chemistry credits at the collegiate level by the end of their senior year. So that's a big deal. Just 10. That's one class. What happens if we did that with creative writing? What happens if we did that with some of our PE classes? What happens if we did that with some of our computer science classes? We could do that with pre-calculus. A lot of opportunity there. We could do it with speech. A lot of our kids could go to college with 30 credits already. And if they do it through the CAP program, over 200 schools across the country would accept their credits. And I think the only school that wouldn't, they might not accept them into their major at UW-Madison, but they'll accept their credits. So they'll be able to sign up for college as a sophomore and choose which classes they want. And that's a huge advantage when you go to college. So that's something you need to think about, because that's a big opportunity. And there again, you might be hearing from me because this fall, I know Mr. Olson's going to hear from me because he's a dad and he's the boss. I'm going to need help. And we're going to have to set up systems. I'm going to be bothering Mr. Standard. He's slowly going to lose his hair like my husband did. And so that's something for you to think about. I think that's pretty cool. And that's it. Questions?
Perfect. Can I ask on that? You said you were testing with UW Oshkosh.
Yeah.
Do we have any other teachers exploring dual credit or not right now?
We have teachers that are interested. We are
Sure.
still working on
What that looks like and where?
we actually had Kaya Hendrickson's a parent of our district, and she works with Jody McDermott up at UW Platte Hills. So we're working with them. We just ran out of time with the school year before we could get them in here to present. But yes, we are working on it.
So it just kind of happened to me because of the award that I won. UW Oshkosh reached out to me, and I said to Chris, do you want me to try this? What are your thoughts on this? And he's like, yeah, do it. And then, so like I said, then we'll be able to sit down and have a conversation, and you'll be able to look at the pros and cons, because there are pros and cons to everything.
So if a student, basically, you're going to make Chemistry 105, for instance, one of the courses here versus
So like rather than an AP chemistry, I'm going to call it Chem 105, and it's going to be a semester class.
So that is then acceptable to UW Oshkosh.
Yeah.
So that
And it's acceptable to all the UW schools and 200 other schools, because UW Oshkosh has a special certification. It's called, they're certified through NACEP, which is the National Alliance of Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships. And that they're the only school in the state that have that accreditation. So their accreditation is a little bit higher than Whitewater. However, Whitewater might have a better program, because what happens if you have a teacher that doesn't have their master's degree? These schools, these colleges now help that teacher get their master's degree so they can become an accredited teacher. Maybe they have a better deal at Whitewater than they do at Oshkosh. So those are more pros and cons that we have to discuss as a staff. But I'm saying that's coming down the pike.
I wish you were just a little more enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Okay, that's it. Any other questions?
Me,
All right, what do you have?
the 95% group, is that, it says PK through 5, but then over here, is it just K through 5? Or does that involve pre-K? Did they get anything ordered?
Well, since we have 4-year-old kindergarten, I got a little wishy-washy with the pre-K, so not in the pre-K, but in if you have K through 5. Yeah.
I just know when we were looking at it, I didn't think it had pre-K, so I'm very excited. That's a really great program.
It is, yeah. We were very impressed with it, and that team of people worked on that choice for 2 years.
Yes, Mrs. Holmes introduced that to me a few years back, and I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's proved over time, so. And it really meets our data needs,
Yes.
so.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Stacy.
yes.
We're gonna go a little bit out of order from the agenda just because we have guests here. So we're gonna have our guests that are here first, then our guests virtual, and then all of us who have reports will go after that. So Chris, you're up.
This was actually a part of my report, but since they're here, I'm gonna let them give the report.
Okay, so I'm LC Sokocha. This is Brody Rogers and Jack Gallagher, and we went to the national contest of National History Day this year.
So National History Day is a project we do in 8th grade social studies. So you get a wide variety of choices of projects to make. A documentary, which is a video, that's what we did. An exhibit, which is like a board, and you show it using, like you present it. Paper, which you just write a paper, website, and then performance. And so we chose to do a group documentary. So we made the video, and we went to our regional competition in lacrosse, and we got first place, advancing us to the state competition. And at state, we went up April 22nd, and we got first place there, and that took us to the national competition. And so we went up there last week, the 11th to the 15th, and we competed against people from all over the country in our category. We didn't win anything, but it was a great experience. And do you want to?
Yeah, it wasn't just history. Like we had a bake sale that raised money for it, so we got to do a lot of fun things out there. We went to Six Flags, Top Golf.
The Arlington Cemetery. We also went to the Smithsonian National Museum of American History.
I thought it was
Yeah,
natural history
And then the National Mall too,
and the Holocaust.
and the Holocaust Museum. So we got to do a lot of historical things up there, as well as some fun things too. So it was a great trip, and we had a lot of fun.
What's your topic?
Oh yeah.
And who did you get to talk to?
So we chose a topic that's not really known throughout history. It's like the Canadian caper. So there's a movie about it that you guys might know. It's the Argo movie. And so we made a video about that, and we got to talk to one of the escapees, Kathleen Stafford. So she was one of the 6 who escaped Iranian capture because, so the Iran hostage crisis happened, and it's where a ton of students stormed the American embassy in Tehran, which is the capital city of Iran, and they held 52 hostages for like 444 days, and so 6 of the embassy workers actually escaped, and that was what we focused on, the escape, and we got to interview through like a Meet or a Zoom one of the 6 escapees, and yeah, so that was also a really cool experience hearing her side of the story.
So at the national competition, do you just kind of play the documentary and then the judges or whatever ask you questions about it, or how did that work?
Yeah, so we had a scheduled time that we went in. I think we were one of the first ones to go. And so yeah, we just played our documentary for them. They just asked us some questions. We just kind of talked about it. And then we got the results later that night.
So how do we see the documentary?
We have it in our Google Drive, and our teacher, Ms. Rollins, has it, and we have it on
I think
flash.
she shared it with.
Ms. Rollins sent a thank you to the school board that you guys will get on Friday, and it's got a link to the video.
Okay, because we were going to post on YouTube, but due to some of the copyright that we use,
We
we
weren't allowed to.
can't. So
I'm not going to brag, but I got a connection to Miss Rollins, and she let me peek at it, and it was so good. You did a wonderful job.
Ms. Rollins was a huge help with that too.
So Miss Rollins, Miss Updike Games, and Miss Burkett. Miss Updike Games and Miss Burkett were able to travel with them as Miss Rollins had a prior engagement.
Well, you did win something, that experience that you
yeah,
got.
it was an amazing experience overall. We learned a lot of new things. We met so many cool people from all over the world even. There were some international teams there too.
That's cool.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You guys
guys are welcome to stay, but if you came for that reason, you want to head out now, no judgment, feel free.
You might enjoy watching what is coming though. I challenge you, unless you're a senior, which I don't think is the case, this video is going to be good.
So the next thing we're gonna do with board members, I've got 6 seats over there if you guys want to go sit right in front. And Jesse will park it right in the middle so everybody that's watching virtually can see it. We're gonna have a virtual walkthrough of the building project and what the school conceptually is going to look like.
Yep.
Pardon me.
I'm very sorry.
If you can't see, stand up or whatever, it works.
Gary's gotten a sneak peek of this, and it's pretty
It's,
exciting.
Chuck and I think, are the only two that have, and Aaron, that have seen this, and it's what the new school will look like when it's done.
So for the board members I haven't met, my name is John Mann. I'm a team leader at Bray. So a bunch of talented architects and interior designers on my team have been feverishly working away on this project. On screen, you can see Stephanie Vierling. She's in charge of our interiors team at Bray. And Nick Woodard, the NW on the screen, is the project architect who's really been hands-on working through this project. So Stephanie, if you want to go ahead and get us going.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll share my screen. What you're seeing
Can you
here is
turn it
our
up any?
3D rendering program of our program that we use to actually build the construction documents and build it in 3 dimensions. So I will take us around the outside of the building a little bit, and then I'll take us through the inside. I'll pause here. This is the addition that you're seeing, and I will let John describe a little bit about what you're seeing here.
So for anybody that hasn't seen this yet, we're looking at the parking lot area just off to the south here. If Stephanie scrolls right a little bit, you'll see kind of the area we're at now. So a couple of the key things that we're queuing into is picking up on the brick color that's on the outside of the existing building, creating a new defined entrance to this portion of the facility. You can see some tie-in to the school colors with the dark blackish color and the gold, backlit letters that say Cuba City that really frames what's going to be a new main events entrance for the building. Off to the right is our administrative piece, and then off to the left, you'll see kind of a darker volume of box in the center. This is our wrestling room, and then just to the left of that is a piece that's got some tall windows and some glassiness. That's the community fitness room. So that's something that's kind of exciting for not just the school, but the community as well. And then the big volume is what's going to be the big triple gym. So this is precast concrete structure. If you got a report that just got sent out, you found out we just bid the precast panels. They came in under budget. So we're going to get those ordered so that Epic can really get moving on the process of getting those in place. So then what you're seeing is a combination of colors on the screen. There's a little bit of that dark blackish color to tie in with the Cuba City school theme, and then the words Cuba City, and then there's a little bit of a pattern on the precast. So one thing that we hear often is when we put precast concrete on a building, why does it look no different than the sidewalk that we're walking on? So just putting a little bit of color and texture into it helps set it off as something different. She swung around to the back side of the building so you can see the kind of the announcer's booth and concessions area. So now right behind that will be the big volume of the gym box, and then a back portion of that main events entrance. So that's our common space that ties all the way through to the back, and it will give a nice backdrop to the football field that lies just to the west. And then
I'm gonna take you real quick over here, John. Sorry, let me just get a little closer.
So the kind of the current high school entrance,
everybody kept saying it was a little tired and needed to freshen up. So to help anchor it along with the work at the new events entrance, pulling some of those same materials, some of the new lettering, and just embellishing that entrance, which will help the wayfinding of people understanding where they're going when they arrive to the campus.
All right, thanks, John. So to keep things moving too, and stop me if anybody has any questions, but I will take us through the interiors now. I've come back to that main activities entrance that John mentioned, and I'm just going to change the time of day here a little bit. Bear with me as I do that. And I get it to be a little bit brighter. Here we go. All right, so let's go in. We enter in the vestibule here, and as you turn right, someone who would be checking in will be entering into the district office here. So a little bit of opportunity for a combination of some of your school colors here, sleek, modern feel, some nice movement with the horizontals you're seeing as a repeat element you'll see throughout the space. I'm actually going to take you back into the boardroom now to give you a little bit of a sense of that volume as well. So nice spacious boardroom back here. Okay. I will take us then back through reception.
Hopefully you don't get motion sickness.
Sorry, I'm kind of a crazy driver. Into our new atrium space here. So this is our common. We've got concessions.
To give you a frame of reference, that white on the right, that's the exterior, the south entrance right now where everybody comes in from the parking lot. So if you're wondering where are we, that white is actually, they're going to paint that brick. So that's where we are.
And then that's the back wall that ties in with the locker rooms and everything.
And then as you walk through the space, you have this lovely soaring kind of verticality. Again, that element again with the folds. Little peek into the gym. We'll go in there in just a moment. And then this is actually the entrance to, is it the current locker room, right, John? So a little bit of an opportunity to have a little bit of school spirit there as well.
And then this common space, you'll see like lunch style tables out there so that you have the opportunity for distributed dining between the current kind of cafeteria area and then this new common space.
And I apologize, our floor lines have seemed to have disappeared, which I discovered just moments ago, so I apologize. We'll show you a picture of how that's going to look. But these lovely garage doors that will open up from that common space into your new gym. So lots of drama in here. We'll have some lighting in here, obviously, when we get to that point. We're still in progress. Bleachers here will have potentially some lettering on them. But your new, your logo here, a little bit of yellow splashed into the space here, a little bit more literal yellow in this space. And I'm going to go ahead and just switch over here to show you the image of the floor here in this presentation we had given before, and another view. So you can kind of see the awesome play of color here and a couple of colors on in the flooring as well.
So it's a triple gym. There's 3 courts that run in the east-west direction, but the main competition court runs north-south and parks up near the commons end of the space, and the bleachers all kind of move in to surround that court.
Okay, from here I'm going to take us down back out here. And we have a corridor that leads us to the rest of the athletic spaces in the addition. So we've got wrestling here, our new wrestling room. And John, if you want to talk a little bit about the equipment in this space?
So one of the big pushes in this is to make it as multi-purposing of a space as possible. So all of the wrestling mats would be able to roll up. There's mat hoists in there so they can hoist up to the ceiling. We've got batting cages that can drop down. So then this can be used for indoor practice. And then in addition, you'll see when we move into the fitness room, there's a turf component that kind of leads into this space so that when it comes to running drills and things like that, there's an overhead door that ties back into the fitness, and now you can do sprint drills, or if you're doing a combined wrestling and weights workout, you can move between both spaces easily.
I'll take us back out into the corridor. Here you can see the precast from the gym box is actually adding a lovely texture to this space. And pausing for a moment here for an opportunity to display some of the three-dimensional physical trophies and plaques and things that the school has fabulously accumulated over the years. And so an opportunity potentially for touch screen to be able to kind of search records and things like that. And headed down to fitness now.
And we were told you have a lot more awards than what are showing in that display.
Indeed. All right, so here we are in fitness. Like John said, you can see that connecting door here, the turf flooring for the drills, and then 2 thicknesses of sports flooring here for more heavy duty lifting, and then for cardio and hand weight, free weights around the perimeter of the space. Lovely light coming into this space, this large window here, allowing a lot of visual connection to the outdoors, and that people from outside can see the activity in the space and the sort of life in the space.
So the yellow block is where our public entrance is. So that'll provide access from the parking lot direct to the south. And if you remember from the outside, that's where we're seeing the big words Cuba City. And the goal is the big flashy, nice open windows on the corner of the fitness room is where a lot of the treadmills and the fitness equipment could be lined up. So anybody that's there has a nice experience, look outside at the vast sea of cars out in the parking lot while they're working out. But in theory, it's laid out to group some of the fitness equipment away from some of the heavy power lifting stuff, so that you don't get the same rattling and thumping of weights while you're doing a lighter duty or more cardio type workout.
Okay, and then I'll take us back. Sorry, I'm leaning into it here. And just one more peek in this space here, so you can kind of see the connectivity of concessions and the nice adjacency to the gym as well. Okay, and as Erin alluded to, we have a connection to the existing, so you can see that here, and we've chosen to address that connection as well with some finishes just to spruce that up a little bit, clean that up, and add some new flooring and ceilings in here as well. And then I'm going to take us to another part of the building. First, I'm going to take us to the corridor in the high school here. We have a couple of updates that we have to do in this space. Whoops, bear with me, I'm looking for this. Yep. So we know that we'll be replacing the doors and the display cases at these doors. And so a lovely opportunity to freshen this up a little bit. We have to do some floor work in here. So just a little sneak peek at where we're sort of concepting this idea. And then I will take us into the tech ed area. All right. So we'll start in the Fab Lab. And here you can see we've got resinous flooring and a lovely open space here. We'll be adding ceiling treatments in here to, probably clouds into this space to help with sound. And you can see that we've got a really nice large space here for that Fab Lab classroom.
And then you can see there's a nice bit of visibility both to the exterior and then to the corridor. So any students walking by can see the kind of into the exciting things happening in the lab. And it provides a nice opportunity for the students in the lab to show off the work that they're producing.
Okay, here we've got food science and opportunity. Again, we're just sort of showing hints of some branding here as a conceptual idea at this point, but letting you take sort of a look here at that food science space. And then the egg lab in here, just sort of have those animal cages ghosted in here so you have an idea of what that looks like.
Big overhead doors to the outside so that we can easily get things in and out of this space, or when the weather's nice, roll up those doors and let some fresh air circulate through the space as well.
And then coming back out into the corridor and taking a peek of what it would look like as you're walking into the metals welding lab here. Lots of equipment kind of ghosted in here as placeholders, but you can see the booths here in that space. Fresh feeling for sure. And then we've got the woods lab just next door here, sort of from a plan view, you can conceptually see where that is. So I'll take us actually through this connecting overhead door
So
into that space.
You have to pretend the big cubes are pieces of equipment.
Yeah, they're just placeholders now, but we try to make them clear so it's not to kind of block all the view.
And the idea is there's a roll-up door in between so that both classes have the opportunity to expand their floor space. When working on things that are project-based in nature, sometimes it takes just a little more area to work. So being able to roll up that door and just expand the floor area when there's a project happening was one goal. And then the other is these, again, tall roll-up doors. They're glass, so they allow us to borrow a lot of light in from the exterior, but they're tall enough when we're doing a shed build or bringing in some bigger pieces, we can easily get them in and out without struggling so much to get through a small, narrow door.
All right, and then the last space we're going to take a look at is art. So here you can see that those workspaces, built-in casework here, the sinks, and then the throwing wheels at the end.
And
So
this
is
the
the
weight
existing fitness center right now, like the north part of the fitness center. So where those spinning wheels are, that's like the training room.
And
It used to be
the
the
ice bath,
Yeah.
I think it's,
That worked out
It
for the
was, and now
electrical
it's
area.
not.
It worked out well.
and I think where the ice bath curtain sits is where the kiln goes.
Yeah.
So just to orient yourself. And then right behind that wall at the end here is where Ben insisted he had to have an indoor shop space. So
And that gets all of that equipment out of the tech ed and ag areas. So we don't have to worry about that.
Yep. So there's no extra load on district maintenance equipment. There's a defined space for them to be able to work on things that's not burdening the classroom areas as well.
Anything else you'd like to look at, John?
The existing gym,
Sure, I will.
Fly right in there.
I don't know how developed this space is.
So in general, there's 4 sections of bleachers that are mobile, and so those can pull out and frame audience seating around the court. There's a couple longer sections of bleachers that just stay put, but between the 4 movable sections and the chairs, you get a nice audience capacity that's surrounding the stage. And then what you probably wouldn't see in this model very well is behind there, just kind of reworking that back of house area with some changing spaces, bathrooms, and some better defined storage, even some place for officials, because they're always lacking for a place to park during any event. And then providing a little bit of definition for where we could park equipment for sound and light control for the auditorium, which is actually going up in the mezzanine that kind of comes over the hallway that's between the auditorium and the current weight room.
the existing classroom wings, Stephanie, where you were talking about, what we're going to do there. Can you just briefly go over that?
Sure. So we are putting in new finishes there, and hopefully this room is in good shape for you guys. We've got kinetics flooring in here, and then we'll be painting And I believe we've got some new casework. I think we still have to hash out the exact specifics of that, but we know that we are going to be putting in new casework there after we work through some of the furniture needs. We'll have that a little bit more refined.
And the acoustical touch?
Yeah, so what we're working through right now is a ceiling option that takes a sort of a sound panel that's mounted to a bracket that clears the deck itself by about 5.5 inches. So this series of panels will run on sort of a frame system that'll allow for us to kind of pass over a good amount of the electrical conduit and things that are surface mounted. We'll have to work through some of the things that like the lights and things that are mounted to the deck itself. But the goal is to provide a little bit of a smoother surface there and really just help with the sound for times like when it's raining and things like that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Questions, anybody?
I have a question. What about the lunchroom?
The lunchroom.
What's your question?
I was just wondering what's that gonna look like. Is it gonna look the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, so the hard part about managing a budget and the type of construction and the amount of construction is we unfortunately have to draw some lines that some areas just won't get much done with them. So we're really trying to do as much as we can, but that's one area that
Outside that gym where they had additional seating for like concession stands, that's additional cafeteria seating as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's where we'll be able to have more kids sit. But as far as the actual cafeteria, that will look the same.
And Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can get 70 to 80 people in this
That's correct.
in a cafeteria setting. So it'll handle a pretty good load.
And this is Merwin's room, moves from where it's at into the tech ed wing? Is that what you had?
The food science, right?
No, when she said food science,
Oh, I'm
Jill-
sorry.
Yeah, Jill does some food prep and some food science in there.
So it's
but
all
not-
ag.
That was all ag. It's
Okay.
ag, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's mislabeled. I'm sorry, John.
Well, we talked about some of what the ag does actually is
Oh,
food prep in
correct.
nature. So yeah,
Got it.
It's-
Okay.
it's confusing for us.
Sorry about that.
Anything else? Anyone else?
All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Stephanie.
Thank you,
Yep,
board members.
All right, Stephanie, you go and sign us out.
All right. Bye, John.
Troy? You want to give the parliamentary report, please?
We had a great last day of school. It was a little hot. I think it was actually really hot that day. But we were able to end on a positive note. We had carnival games. We had a field day challenge, and the staff took on the fifth graders in kickball. I don't think we remember the score of that game. But I'm sure if you ask a fifth grader, they will. A big thank you to Nancy Davies, Lisa Zeller, Taylor Reeder, Whitney Casper, Carly Redfern, Amanda Gall, Melinda Trevathan, Jesse Dinar, and Jessica Lipker, and I guess Lucy Mern as well. They planned all the activities for the last day of school, which was, very helpful, obviously. And then a big thank you to PTO, who also helped supervise during that day as well. Stacy mentioned a little bit about our new curriculum. All of our K-5 teachers have completed their initial training. Now they're waiting for the materials to come, which is held up by the fact that we can't purchase until after July 1st, and they would not send them early. So I know some teachers are looking to get the curriculum in their hands and kind of start working along that line. We will, of course, continue to support them throughout the change, but also the science of reading is more of a process than a program. Go and purchase the science of reading is more of a process. So we'll continue to help them and in that transition as we get going. And then the last thing I have is summer school update. We have about 126 students enrolled for our 4K summer school program. Comparison to last year, I believe, was 140, 150. Pretty happy with 126 with a 3-week program. I mean, we are halfway through today, I believe. Next week is our last week, June 29th. Over at the middle school, going well because of the work done at the elementary school, but the kids are having a great time and teachers are doing a great job. That's all I have.
Thank you, Troy. Yep, special ed.
Over the past couple of months, the administrative team has been reviewing staff vacancies, caseloads, and needs for upcoming school year. We've met with the personnel committee and discussed a couple of proposals and answered some questions. And based on those discussions, I've made a couple of recommendations to the board that we'll talk about later tonight. And in the next month, we'll begin conducting our Indicator 14 post-high school outcomes survey. That survey assesses the outcomes of individuals with disabilities 1 year after they graduate from high school. And the information helps us as a district as well as the state describe the further education and competitive employment experiences of those students with disabilities after they transition from high school to that next year of life. Melissa Gilstrap has been instrumental in making these connections with the Cuba City graduates. So thank you to her. And by doing so, she generates revenue for the district. There's a pot of money that the state sets aside, and depending on how many people make connections with these students determines how much money the district gets as a reimbursement for doing that activity. I have one shout out reminder. The district is continuing to accept applications for some teaching assistant vacancies at the elementary schools. So application information is available on the district website.
Thank you, Deb. Chris, do you have anything extra? Yep.
We also had a successful end of the school year. We had great weather for graduation ceremony, and I have had several positive comments about the night. Final exams went well, and our middle school students had a wonderful day at the park following their award ceremony. And I want to thank Gooch for delivering all the pizzas to the park. Our school is still buzzing with students. Coach Bettigue hosted his final basketball camp. We have the middle school and some of high school full of summer school attendees, as well as those students taking driver's education. And this week we had volleyball camp taking place. We had several students that attended the state FFA convention in Madison last week, and a lot of those students are now preparing for the fair season. We have a team that's been working on removing asbestos from the shop areas. Our fence line has been removed from the parking lot, and plans are being made to remove the current solar panels. And the big surprise for our staff is that air conditioning is being installed in the classrooms and should be up and running by the beginning of the school year. And I just wanted to take time to thank all of our staff for making my first year as a new principal go smoothly as possible. Extra special thanks to our administration team and to the school board for all of your support. I really appreciated everything that everyone does to make our school great.
Thank you, Chris. And you're welcome. Good job. Heather's not here. She's at a wake or funeral. So I'll ask Aaron if there's any business or anything else he has.
Yeah, we've got a couple of personnel committee meetings we're trying to schedule, so check your email, make sure you let me know what dates work for you. We've got a few of those coming up in July and August. I think some of those are already set, and we'll continue to work with the CCEA and start working now that we have a better idea of the budget. We can move forward with those items as well.
Okay. There was no public recognition unless somebody wants to add their name to the list. All right. New business, approve the date and time for the July meeting.
Those of you who have been on the board for a while know that every July is always kind of hit and miss with the third Wednesday. So right now we have Wednesday, July 19th at 6:30. It's the third Wednesday. I just want to check to make sure we have enough for a quorum, because sometimes that's difficult in July with vacations and things. So you want to just let me know right now if we do have enough for July 19th.
I can be there. I'll
be there.
3,
I'll be here.
4, 5.
And Chuck, so.
All right, we got a quorum, so we do not have to move it. So we will keep it at Wednesday, July 19th, so we do not have to have any motion. I'll make that. Okay, never mind. All righty. B is approve new special education position at the elementary level.
Yep, this position was created by eliminating 2 paraprofessional positions in order to make room for 1 certified teacher. It's something the admin team has been talking about probably since the start of the 2nd semester. Is there any way we can get another special ed teacher in there? So we presented this to the personnel committee last week, and they recommended moving forward, and I recommend that we approve this position.
And I met with Aaron after that personnel meeting, and I had some questions for him, which he answered, but I also wanted to bring them up to my fellow board members and see what they think about it as well, because this is really my only opportunity to do that, is in a public setting, and it's for Deb as well. So the new position is a 4th, 5th. So you have 1 in pre-K, 1 in K through 3, EBD 2 teachers, and then 2 teachers in 4th and 5th. Is that representative of the caseloads that we're looking at right now? Will this teacher move based on how many kids are in each grade level?
Can we back up? I'm not following.
You lost
What was
me
the
too.
first question?
My question is, you're going to have 2 teachers in 4th and 5th grade. K through 3, to my knowledge, is 1 special ed teacher. There's a teacher in pre-K. There are 2 in EBD, emotional, behavioral. So,
We don't have 2.
well,
And we don't have 2 in pre-K.
I didn't say 2 in pre-K.
That's where I'm not following.
There's a pre-K special ed teacher, yes?
There's an early childhood special ed teacher.
Perfect.
Yes.
There's another one that does K through 3, to my knowledge, and now we have a 4-5, and now you're putting another teacher in 4-5. Do the numbers support that, or does that person need to be in a different grade level? Like, is it just 4th, 5th, or are the numbers supporting 2 people in 4th and 5th grade while 1 person does K through 3? Is my question, and I would like the board members to discuss that.
I'm not quite sure I'm following what you're asking.
Can I say names of people that work?
I think we know the names, but.
So the reason we came to this decision, someone was in this position 2 years ago, and we've had retirement and also someone who moved on in their career. So rather than replacing those 2 people for the same amount of money, we can rehire that teacher that we had 2 years ago and better support the students that we have. Yes, our numbers have increased somewhat. What we need to do with the approval of the board is to put out a posting.
Yes.
See who applies, and then determine where that person best fits.
Okay.
They might not be assigned to one specific grade level.
It's just on my agenda as a 4th, 5th, and we already have a 4th, 5th, so I thought maybe they'd be better served in a kinder, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd grade. I didn't know why we would have 2 people doing 4th and 5th grade, whereas
we did in the past.
I'm asking now, are the numbers supporting this 4th and 5th grade position, or should we list it as an elementary special ed position?
It will be posted as an elementary special ed position.
I'm
yes.
just saying in here it says 4th and 5th, and I didn't know if you had enough numbers.
I think
as
what
of
I
today.
said was in the past, it was covered 4th and 5th. We do have some ideas to do more than just 4th and 5th, and that always depends on who moves in over the summer.
Absolutely. That I do know. I was just wondering, and then,
So the information
thank
in this is incorrect. It's not a 4th or 5th position. It will be an elementary, and their position will be assigned later.
I think if you look at my proposal or my recommendation, it says that we recommend hiring an additional 1 FTE special ed teacher at the elementary school
In
level.
our agenda says 4th
So
and
we
5th.
we got that one today. That one it's behind your agenda because we got that one today. I asked her for a little more information. So
This,
you have a single page. Yep. One is about the win and one is
it
about.
says 4th and 5th grade levels.
It
I'm
says-
not saying don't hire another teacher. I think that's a fabulous idea. I just don't know if the need is in 4th and 5th grade. I don't know your numbers, but I know in the past, one teacher did 4th and 5th grade. So now, is this person better suited K1, 2, 3? I just was wondering.
We don't even know who the person is at this point, so the numbers support that we need another teacher.
Okay.
So we
versus
should
2
move on.
assistants.
It'll be another elementary position.
Yes.
Because if you post it 4th, 5th, some people
Yeah.
might not even apply because they're like, I don't want
I
4th and 5th.
didn't plan on posting it that way.
Well, ma'am, I'm sorry, but that's what's in my agenda. So I just wanted to make sure we're posting it.
And we'll make the motion as an approved new special education position at CCES. So you don't have to change the motion.
I have also a question on this. Can one teacher serve students or two assistants bid? How's he gonna cover that many footprints?
So sometimes the needs of special ed students change, where at some point in time, they need a one-on-one, and our goal always is to make them more independent. And sometimes that happens, which frees up an aide. Some kids need additional pull-out services, so they're not in that general class as much.
Right.
And, without, I can't say a whole lot because it could potentially identify a student or their needs. But because of shifting needs in the population, we feel we can do that.
I mean, are we figuring that we're gonna need another teacher rather than two aides?
I feel that a teacher we would get more bang for our buck.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions? Okay, there is a motion as posted, or it can be,
I need it to
Amended.
say elementary and not fourth and fifth. I would
So
like
in the
to-
motion
in the
itself,
motion
it
it
does
says-
not say fourth and fifth. The notes you're seeing are like background information for the board members. Where it says motion, move to approve a new special education position. That is what we're approving.
At CCES.
It's just an elementary special ed position. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay.
all right, is there any other questions? Otherwise, I will move to approve a new special education position at CCES as presented.
I will second.
Mueller,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hitterman, yes. Pohl,
No.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is approve the new WIN Academy program.
So this program is for students that we have attending other campuses to meet their instructional needs. So instead of having them, in the past, we've used, I believe, schools in Prairie du Chien, Beloit, Madison,
Iowa.
McFarland, some of those different places, all require quite a bit of travel. And having to transport students there and back is a lot of road time for them, and it's really hard for us to staff, or if somebody calls in sick, it's really hard to get those kids there. So what we would like to do is start up a kind of a transitional program, and we just call it WIN Academy because that's what I need. We use that term a lot. And it would be using an unoccupied church here in town. And we would provide a special education teacher with 20 years or so of experience in experience like that in a school in Iowa. We feel this is a great service for our students and their families. As far as cost, we're assuming it's going to be probably cost neutral or close to or cost beneficial. But a lot less time in the car, and also we can bring those kids back to work with their grade or their age peers if it's only 5 or 6 blocks away as needed or as appropriate. So we took this to the personnel committee last week and they unanimously approved moving forward with this program. With the approval of the board, then we would get to work on what that structure looks like and developing kind of a separate handbook for those. And if that's approved, that would be the next steps.
I'm gonna go right down the same rabbit hole as I met with Aaron to talk about this, and I have a pretty long page of things I'd like the board members to hear, since this is kind of my wheelhouse. The location for me, I still can't, I'm gonna say no, because the safety concerns of them being that far away when you could possibly get a portable classroom trailer to put on campus. I'm currently a behavior teacher, and I could not wait if there is a behavioral issue for admin to get in a car and drive over to assist. So I'm concerned about the travel time. I am concerned about teachers and paras being there with no administration within, I'll say, walking distance. If restraints and seclusions are needed, admin needs to be supervising that, and there's no way you're going to get there in time if something happens. I don't know if that's the least restrictive environment for them. I feel like it's a segregation away from their peers. So what motivation do they have to get back to the regular ed classroom when they're across town? When I think there's plenty of room, which was discussed at the personnel meeting on the campus. Art, PE, and music, well, these teachers travel because they need access to those things. You can't just deny them because they're at an alternative location. What is our plan B if parents don't agree to this? Like, are we still driving them? And then what? So we have a teacher with one kid, like, I kind of need to know that. And then the Edmentum curriculum is online. So what is the staff expectation? To just look over their shoulder and monitor at all times? I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like. My biggest concern to my board members is the location. I know what Cuba City is tiny and I get that, but if someone has a weapon or someone's trying, and I'm not saying these kids are, but we don't know who's going to enroll. We don't know who's going to come into this district. We don't know anything. And I don't want our employees to be, or our students to be at further risk because we have put them over there. When I know a trailer portable can come closer to the building.
The same could be said as if something happened in Mount Horeb, like when we're transporting them.
I understand
like
that.
in the car. So that's a similar thing that we're dealing with right now. Is
Yes.
that safety in the transport, and that's much farther.
If we're gonna go ahead and do this, I would rather do it the right way. The last time we were at the church, it did not go as well as we anticipated.
It did though, because that student that was at the church.
Let's not talk about
teaching staff.
individual students.
I did not.
I'm not going to do that.
As it lies, I'm against it. If it's gonna be at that church, I do not think that's best for kids and best for our staff members. I don't know if the other board members have a different opinion. I'm open to talking about it. It's just, I live in the behavior world and I just don't think putting them there. Sometimes the response team at my school can be there in 2 minutes. I already got bit. I already got this happened. This already happened. And it's like, I don't want to alienate them and put them on an island where there is not an administrator.
So can I just ask, like, I see the point of like, yes, bringing them back within 5 minutes as opposed to horrible, whatever it might be, is a step in the right direction. But did we look at what the cost of a possible, I'm not on personnel committee, so I cannot speak as to what was discussed there in terms of, is a trailer a doable alternative? I can't speak to the budget.
We did not discuss what Lisa brought up. I don't, in regard to a trailer or specifically a trailer. I do not recall that.
I could not speak at the personnel meeting as I was
I
just
understand.
an observer. But if we're saving this money possibly with not driving, that money could sure be put into something where it's
But
somewhere.
that's not been discussed.
Yes.
That piece,
I see that.
nor a designated classroom or something
Right.
on campus.
Money cannot be the objective when we look at placements. And we need a continuum of placements from full inclusion to potential alternate sites. And this would be one placement on that spectrum of placements that we have to offer families and children. We might have students that aren't a good fit for that and need to go elsewhere, but that's an IEP team
And that's
decision.
an IEP team which make those decisions.
I think it's a giant safety risk, and I just wanted to put that out.
Well, if we go down the rabbit hole with you, my question is if you throw out the church, I don't know that there's a space, nor obviously will we take action tonight. So my question is that what happens to this concept if it's not decided tonight?
We table it until July.
Well, but then what happens?
I'm not-
Because you're basically a month from school
I understand.
and the ability to hire somebody and or create the space. I'm, unaware of what plan B is.
I have that on my notes. I don't either. I'm not privy to that information. I just know there are too many red flags for this plan, and this is not something I feel confident about. And I'm just being honest.
I have one question. How many students are involved?
It would depend on IEPs.
I don't think we could ever tell you, Chuck. I mean, I think it would be fluid.
Huh?
I don't think we can tell you the number.
No, I
And it
meant
would
what we
fluctuate.
transport last year to different spots. I mean, Yeah, 2, 3, 4,
Several.
several.
That's all I can tell you.
A small enough number that we don't want to identify anybody, so it was.
No, I don't either. I know that
Let
we
me
gotta
also
be
say,
very,
Chuck,
very,
our plan is to have a teacher and then an assistant for every student there. So it would be a little more than one-on-one.
you're gonna need that. No, but like Lisa says, it's, I worked one for 36 years, and sometimes it gets a little hairy. I mean, some of these kids go nuts. You know, and we don't want to put any of our employees in jeopardy.
Correct. And there would be no less jeopardy driving these students for 90 minutes.
No, I know
every
that.
day.
It would be less time with them then than now, but I mean, how would we respond to that
Well,
physical situation
you
in a
know,
short time?
Administration isn't always there when there's
I know.
an incident.
I know.
There are times that we have to come from elsewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
to say that every time there's a seclusion or a restraint, there's an administrator, there is not true. It's just not practical. But these people we have specific people in mind who would have specific training and practice to prevent those types of things. Could something happen? Yes, it could happen anywhere. It could happen in any of our alternate sites as well.
I know that. Or on the road taking them. It could
Yes.
happen.
I'm totally for getting rid of the driving if possible.
Yes.
I just am not a fan of the church. I'm just saying, it seems too far away for me. If everyone's in a meeting and somebody's getting it, I want to know the protocol. I want more information before I can say yes. That's
So we have
just
used
saying.
the VFW in the past. We've used the city building behind the police station, the library, working one-on-one with kids, and we've used the church. And we have not yet had an issue.
Right.
I beg to differ.
Well, at this point,
Mhm.
what is the board's further questions?
Can we post this job as well? And like, we're getting a new special ed teacher. Maybe we'll find someone better suited for this job that could go.
Just a second here, just a second.
Sorry.
You're assuming that possibly a person you know is going to take this job.
What do you mean? They said,
Well, it sounded like you're saying that a person who is maybe assumed is going to take a job that you're not in favor of?
no.
You're saying
I
a
didn't.
different person?
No, I didn't say that. I said we're hiring a new position. So what, can we not open up a behavioral position? I didn't say
Well,
anybody's getting hired.
We're saying, I'm talking about the program,
Okay,
okay?
Yeah.
So is the program to come to a vote here, or are we going to table it? And what questions, because that's the motion, is we're either
Okay.
approving the program or we're tabling it.
I would like to make a motion to table it.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Hearing no second, that motion fails. Is there another motion?
I have a question of administration. I was at the personnel committee when it was discussed. Administration was in favor of this program. I guess my understanding is that any detractions on this or any downfalls of this is still puts the school in a better position when transporting these kids.
I think
Is that correct?
In my opinion, the pros outweigh the cons.
Deb, is that correct?
Fair,
with you?
yes. Mhm.
Well, I have a question. Do you have say a situation comes up, do you have anything addressed to, is there a protocol for what you're gonna do with that situation?
That's a good question.
What's the aspect of what are we gonna do?
So once we have approval of the program, then we will develop it. We'll write a handbook and we'll, outline things in that handbook. And then we'll staff it. So until we have a program, we can't staff it and.
Right, but it's when we're putting the cart in front of the horse.
Well, and it's saying provide a special ed teacher with 20 years of experience. So you already have someone in mind.
Absolutely, we have a place in, so we can't bring a proposal to you without something in mind, because then we wouldn't know what the budget would be for it. But to determine all the details, like the handbook and things like that, until we have a program, there's no sense developing a handbook. But yes, we would have a protocol and we would have certain.
And if we do find that the church is too far and we think, hey, this is a couple things have happened and we won't be able to get there, there's nothing in here that says that we can't, I haven't priced out trailers. I don't know what those run or where we would put those here. But this is a month by month lease.
We also don't plan on just leaving them.
No.
We have an idea of, having certain individuals that are administrative or support staff going over that way. And as far as curriculum, that will be developed once we have a program. But no,
Very similar to what they're getting right now on the different sites.
yes.
And if the parents say no, are we going to still fund this for, let's say, one kid while we can, I'm just saying numbers, I'm just making them up, while we continue to transport one or two? Like, can we afford both?
It's an IEP team decision where that child is placed.
I
The
understand
parent has a
that.
voice in it.
And I don't think money is part of the
It's not.
It can't be.
So
I understand that as well. I'm just asking the question.
That's the hard part with it being fluid. Like sometimes there might be one or two kids there, but then there might be some balls where we might start with 5.
And is there a cap on that?
We don't have that yet.
Because it would basically be at the point you're going to either say, we have a program and you're able to hire the teacher and the paraprofessionals to go, with each student.
And we can't cap the number of special ed students.
No.
We have to look at the students and their needs and provide, what support services, whether it's an assistant or a regular or a special ed teacher. That's where we get together and look at what the needs are. And not just numbers, but the needs.
I guess I meant cap, like open enrollment caps, like you guys have done in the past.
But you can't cap the number of special ed students in our district.
For open
You can-
enrollment,
We've already capped that.
You
haven't
can
we?
deny open enrollment, but
Yeah.
if they move into
but
a
if 4
district-
move into the district, there's nothing you can do about it.
No.
Right.
That's what I said, open enrollment. Are we going to cap it at a certain
It
number?
already is capped.
Why was it here for that?
Across
So
the-
it
Yeah.
is capped.
Every January by state statute, we have to determine those seats.
Do we know that number?
The number of seats open is 0 for cross cap.
I do feel it's a better idea than traveling, because traveling I was not in favor. Because there's some things that did happen that, I don't know, I'm not gonna talk about them either, but I think this is a better idea in my opinion. A good start.
And will we be updated on how it's going? Can I see the handbook? Like, are we involved in it at all? Or we vote and then we're done with it?
Board always approves handbooks.
We can ask for an update on how it's going. We can ask Deb to report monthly at the board meeting as part of her report.
Keeping in mind that there's only so much I can share.
I understand.
Yeah.
I was once told by a special ed director, basically, that he was gonna have to kill me if he told me anything, so I didn't learn a damn thing, so.
Okay, I got one more question to put to this. We have the wave system. Is there any way to get a portable wave system in case they have any?
Another very good question. We have some camera systems that we had in a crosscat room that we're not using right now,
Mhm.
that I'm going to check with our.
So that's also called wave. I think Chuck's talking about the push button.
Oh,
Yeah, the push
yeah,
button,
that
the
would be
teacher
nice.
that automatically sends it to the police
We
department.
would certainly want to equip them with everything that,
Because I mean, that gives some peace of mind to the situation and to the employees and to the parents.
And the children.
students. That's just what, it's a lot of eggs in one
and
basket.
again, this is a spectrum of
I know.
placement options. If I felt a student was extremely dangerous and wasn't a good fit, I probably would not recommend that at an IEP team meeting.
Right.
There might be students that still are best off elsewhere.
So we might still be making trips to wherever.
Yeah. But I know we're under school start or whatever, but we just want the best opportunity for
Absolutely.
the staff and the student. And traveling, when you're traveling 3-4 hours a day, you don't get a lot of confidence. Other price of
We've
gas.
even had people drive to Madison, sit and wait there, and come back. So we're basically paying people to do any little jobs we can give them while they're sitting and waiting.
Right, which sometimes gets a little scary.
It's hard to fill those positions.
Very hard.
I would move to approve the new Win Academy program as presented. Is
I'll
there-
second.
Mueller,
No.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
No.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Right. Item D is approve the 23-24 tri-core insurance plan, Aaron.
Yep, no new insurance plans here. The rates went up for a couple different areas. Primarily, it's going to be building or property insurance because as the cost of replacing buildings goes up, so too does property insurance. So there's no additions or changes in deductibles or premiums.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2023-24 tri-core insurance plan as presented.
Is
I'll
there-
second.
Mueller. Yes. Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item E is approved the Southwest Health Training contract for the 23 through 26 school years.
Yep, so this is a service that provides athletic trainers for our students. We do get them 5 days a week. We asked if we could get coverage for every home varsity level event. They do not have the ability or the capacity to do that. We do get them 5 days a week, but sometimes they're here from like 3:30 to 5 to work with our students, and then they go to another area event for varsity contests. We usually get them for home conference games, and that's it. So we did ask for a little more coverage, and they just can't do it. So this just maintains our current contract for the next 3 years.
Are there any questions, board, of this contract?
I'll move to approve the Southwest Health Training contract for 2023 to 26 school years as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Under personnel, A is approved part-time ESL interpreter contract for Mrs. Laura Wilberding for the 23-24 school year.
This expands the contract that she had this year, added a couple more days. Basically, she translates any document that teachers want to be translated into Spanish for parents. And she comes up and meets when we need somebody to help translate with the language barrier with parents and students and teachers.
Okay. If there's no questions, would somebody move?
I'll move to approve the part-time ESL interpreter contract for Miss Laura Wilberding as presented.
I'll second it.
Mueller,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item B is approve a part-time middle school counselor, Angela Balkin, for the 23-24 school year.
The state provides schools with Get Kids Ahead grant, and this basically is covered 100% by that grant. We got that this year and next year. With the grant allocation, we're able to have Angela here for a few more days. Next year, she's a retired school counselor that lives in our community, and she has over 30 years experience and did a wonderful job as a middle school counselor. We identified that as a need based on the youth risk behavior survey that was done in it was either 20 or 21 or 21 and 22. Both of our counselors at that time came and said, hey, we think this is really something that we need to address. Get Kids Ahead grant, covered it last year and also for next school year.
How many days is she here? Is it,
I think it went from 65 up to 90.
so then the high school counselor still works with middle school, or is it strictly?
Yes.
It's kind of a,
2 or 3 days a week. She does mostly high school when she does that.
just wondering, thank you.
It's not quite like this year. It was 2 days a week, almost every week. It's not quite 3 days, but
Yeah. Okay.
it's 2 or 3 more often than not 3 days.
If there are no other questions, would somebody make that motion?
I'll move to approve part-time middle school counselor, Mrs. Angela Belkin, as presented.
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item C is approved the middle school football coach, Parker Belty.
Yeah, Mr. Sander and Mr. Glenn both interviewed this candidate and are recommending him for the position. We also have the other football coach that we'll put on next month. So we've got a complete middle school football staff.
Would somebody make that motion?
I'll move to approve CCMS football coach Parker Velte as presented.
I will second. Mueller,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinneman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item D is approve the middle school cross-country assistant coach Carter Jorgensen.
Same thing, Mr. Sander and Mr. Glennon interviewed this candidate, recommending him for the position.
I will move to approve the middle school cross-country assistant coach Carter Jorgensen as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinneman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item E is approve a stipend for Travis Loomis as the lead custodian with and/or due to Brian Cohn's resignation.
Yep, with Brian resigning, we'll be in need of, we're gonna be posting a assistant building and ground position shortly. But in that meantime, we wanted to have somebody that could supervise the custodians, get them scheduled, handle some of their substitutions, take care of some of the bands, some of the things that Brian did, that we think Travis has experience doing. And Travis is excited about this position. And I recommend that we.
Is this a 1 year?
This is a 1 year, yeah. But so we'll post an assistant building and ground position, and then that person, unless it's a current employee who's been in that position, is probably going to need some time to learn some of those things before they take it over. And Travis has done a lot of those different things. So in the meanwhile, we thought that was a good bridge.
But post it now. I mean,
We'll be posting.
Okay.
it soon.
Got it.
We're gonna have a buildings and grounds meeting for this situation, or?
Yep, we probably will when we'll probably read the description. And
Yeah, we need to, is that enough stipend for Travis? I mean, that's a lot of extra work. And we're gonna be short another employee, so we're short 2 custodians going into school.
Yeah, we're hoping to hire
I hope we
a
do.
one.
You know, we need a meeting coming up to try to address some of that.
Any other questions? Would somebody move?
I'll move to approve Travis Loomis as lead custodian as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinneman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Committee reports, budget and finance.
I think we found a date this morning, July 19th or something. I think we found a date that met with everybody.
Okay.
Right? Why do you think it was August?
Is it August?
I thought it was July.
I thought it was July.
Whatever.
Chuck and I will be there July
All of
19th.
you guys said that date works.
Yeah.
Dan is checking.
I think it was right before our regular board meeting.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, July 19th.
Yep.
Okay. Building and grounds, Chuck, we need one coming up.
Yeah, we'll meet in July.
Okay.
Okay.
Personnel, we met in July 13th, and we will, I don't know that there's any set dates yet, is there, for future?
Not for another one, but pretty soon we'll start meeting more frequently.
Okay. Policy, probably not needed.
October usually, about every 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay. Technology and transportation, nothing since February 9th. Any need?
We'll probably meet in September, October, just to go over, like, here's our technology plan for this year, what we're doing in the next couple of years. So that's usually September, October, we do that.
And maybe just discuss how the busing
Oh, sure.
contract is
Foundation.
with
Is that
with our
July?
change. Guy Davis bus lines,
Which is good.
just to see how it's going. Foundation.
That meeting's in August.
That's the one.
That's the one in August. Okay. CISA 3, I don't really have anything, other than we have a meeting Monday night. So as usual, they're hiring a lot of specialists for school districts, and it's become I don't know how Jamie Nutter does it. It's like he's got 2 jobs, one running CISA and the other one's hiring people for different school districts. So do the, reading specialists to counselors and you name it. So I don't have anything else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Right now.